Hey YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. I hope 2019 has been treating you well so far. So far in Baltimore we've had a few inches of snow this winter and it's been nice just to hunker down, play some Mario Kart with my husband, drink some peppermint hot chocolate. It's been really nice just to chill and relax. So I want you to take a minute to think back to your elementary, middle, and high school years, to the most important time of day, lunchtime. Now lunch is a very important meal. It fuels us, gives us nutrients, it raises our blood sugar so we can focus and pay attention throughout the day. Now I want you to take a minute and close your eyes and think back to lunchtime. And I want you to close your eyes, put yourself back in this moment, and look down and tell me what you see. What do you see in front of you? What food do you see in front of you? Now for me, I see a chicken patty and a carton of milk. I also see these summer prize peaches that were amazing. If it's a day that I brought my lunch in, then it's a horizontal cut peanut butter sandwich and an apple juice and some Cheez-Its. Comment down below and tell me what you saw. Now I want to try one last exercise with you. Close your eyes and I want you to look down and look at that food. It looks so good, I know you just want to dig in. But look up, lift your head, and tell me who you see in front of you. Is it your best friend, or perhaps some schoolmates? Open your eyes. So for me, when I did that exercise and put myself back into that situation, I saw no one. I saw lots of kids in groups, but no one was at my table. I was the loner at the lunch table. So how did I get there? Pretty much by myself at the lunch table every day. Well, I was misunderstood. I didn't have friends in elementary school, and I was teased and bullied on the regular. It all started in music class, probably around first grade. My music teacher at the end of class wanted us to get our blood moving and get us up and get us active, so she had us sing a song called Skinnamarink. Now if you don't know this song, it was from a PBS show around 1986 called Sharon Lois and Brahms' Elephant Show. Link to the music video down below. She taught us the hand motions. It went like this. Skinnamarink dinky dink, skinnamarink doo, I love you. And our objective was to go around the class and point to people who we loved. Sounds simple, right? Only problem was, I didn't really know anyone at this school, and I wasn't friends with anyone, and I didn't really love any of these kids. So I thought, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? So I thought, you know what, I love God, I'm going to quietly walk around and try not to be noticed, and I'll point up to God. So that's what I did. The song went on, all the kids were pointing at each other, and I tiptoed around pointing up, and sure enough, one girl saw me. And she immediately stopped and said, "Look at Justin, everyone! He's pointing at the ceiling! Justin, do you love the ceiling?" And they started to laugh at me, and all of a sudden I just remember all of these pupils around me in a circle pointing at me and laughing at me. Now I was terrified and I couldn't speak up, and they pretty much continued for the rest of the song to mock me and walk around the class and laugh at each other and point up to the ceiling and have a good laugh at my expense. But I was a sensitive kid, and this pretty much destroyed any self-confidence that I had. Reflecting on that experience later on in life, I realized that I lost something that day, that I lost my boldness. Years followed and I continued to be a social outcast at school. Kids made fun of me, they would walk close behind me and step on my shoes, causing me to trip. They would make fun of my hair and the way I walked, the way I talked. They would call me mean and horrible and terrible and say that I was worthless. They would say I was undeserving of my last name. They would call me in the gym locker rooms fat ass and fag. In 4th grade, I remember we had our tables put together in groups of 4, and the other 3 people would tease me at 2 p.m. every day, and it was Tease Justin time, where they would fling insults at me, that I was worthless, that I was a terrible person, and it literally brought me to the point of tears some days, where I would cry in front of the teacher and nothing would happen. I told teachers, I told my parents, and nothing got solved, which was extremely frustrating. And during this time, I continued to grow shyer and more withdrawn from people. My way of dealing with all this bullying was to internalize. I absorbed the emotional punishment and withdrew and became shy and scared and fearful. I literally thought of myself as beneath people, that their opinions mattered more than mine did, and therefore I should just stay quiet. In school, I used to raise my hand to answer a question or to ask the teacher a question, and I would literally feel like my skin was on fire. My entire body would tingle like I'm getting pinpricks all over it, and I would just be so terrified and stumble with my words because I felt like I shouldn't be speaking. So naturally, I kept my head down and would go entire days without saying a word at school. I was voted the quietest kid in my yearbook. My mom took notice that I was a shy kid and always told me that I would grow up to be an extrovert, but I knew I was broken. However, I had no tools to fix this situation. My middle school guidance counselor took notice that I had no friends, and she invited me and another student who had recently moved to the area to her office. She said we had a lot in common and suggested we be friends. But unfortunately, as you can imagine, it doesn't always work like that, and we didn't hit it off and it never went anywhere. So as it turned out, in my junior year of high school, one of my neighborhood friends, who was 1 year behind me in school, had the same lunch period as me. So 1 year out of the 12 years, I had someone to sit with for lunch, and it was amazing. In my senior year, during the last 3 days, I had a breakthrough. I had met one girl in my classes who was very friendly to me, and she saw that I was eating lunch by myself. And she came up to me and invited me to sit with her and her friend. Literally, that act meant so much to me, and years later I even messaged her on Facebook and thanked her for being so kind to me. If you take one thing away from this video, be kind as this girl was to me. Reach out to someone, say something to someone, encourage someone, invite someone to sit with you. Be kind, just as my church says. Ephesians 4:32 says, "Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ has forgiven you." So how did I break out of my shell? Well, it involved two things: building back my self-confidence and a touch of spiritual warfare. Let me explain. So, self-confidence. I got that through reading the Bible and learning how God viewed me. So pretty much the first time I had ever stopped and really read the Bible, I read Ephesians chapter 1. And for me, verse 5 said it all. God decided in advance to adopt us into His own family by bringing us to Himself through Jesus Christ. This is what He wanted to do, and it gave Him great pleasure. The more I read, the more I learned that God loved me and wanted me in His family. And the more I learned that, the more my self-confidence grew. Funny how that worked. Now, I mentioned spiritual warfare. This is basically the Christian concept of fighting against unseen evil forces based on the biblical belief of evil spirits, demons, and so on. Now, this is a heavy topic, so let me ground you with the facts of what transpired. In 2005, I went to my pastor and told him how I had been bullied and how that was still affecting me. He suggested we fight back with spiritual warfare. He told me to close my eyes and imagine myself back in my shoes as I was getting teased. He told me to look up and tell me what I saw, not unlike the exercise we did earlier with lunchtime. So I told him I see my pupils gathered around me laughing and teasing me, and he spoke up. "I rebuke these lies in Jesus' name, and I command them to go back to the pit of hell." As I sat there, I felt the same burning and tingling sensation that was not so uncommon when I would really feel shy. And I realized at that moment that something had changed. It was very clear to me, and even as I drove home from that visit, I knew something had happened and I had gained my boldness back. What I found in the days to come was that I no longer feared people, that I didn't feel inferior to them any longer. Fast forward to today, I have gathered a heck of a lot of ground in this area of my life. But don't get me wrong, I still have my struggles. I struggle to go up to new people and introduce myself. I struggle to go to big parties where I don't know many people. I struggle to eat lunch or dinner by myself. So I make sure to meet with people, coworkers or friends or family, so that way I'm not eating by myself. I am working to overcome this issue of eating alone. Over the past few years, sometimes friends and family can't get together, so I have lunch by myself, and I very mindfully go to my favorite Quiznos, order my favorite sub and chips, and embrace the moment as my own personal retreat. Funny enough, as I've been preparing for this video, I've been a little bit more observant than normal. When I walked around the mall, I was looking and I saw many families and friends and coworkers having lunch together, but I also saw a lot of people eating alone. So there I was, having lunch by myself, and there were two coworkers who I know not really well. They found me as I was eating and said, "Mind if we join you?" My God, how far I have come. That was so amazingly meaningful to me. I was humbled and inspired. Let me be that person to someone else, because I am no longer the loner at the lunch table. I'd love to hear from you guys, so please comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get updates on my new videos. And as always, stay blessed, my kind friends.